Hello, my name is David Webb, and this is a video for Dweebovision. I am a Scrabble grandmaster, and in this video I am going to play Scrabble while providing in-game commentary on my moves. Hopefully this will help to improve your game, and be fun to watch. The game has just started, so let's join the action. It's me to go first. This is pretty ropey. I can play Zoic, which takes an A in front, keeping IOW, which is not great. I can play Whiz. Is this better than Zoic? Whiz takes an S in front. The O has some synergy with the C, and the C is a bingo-y tile rather than the W. So I'm going to go with this. Well, I still have vowel problems, but I have two scoring tiles in the C and the P. I've got an O for going underneath Z, and I've also got an O for going underneath I. So I could play OO, IO, and ZO. Wow, good play by my opponent. 79 points. Do I have a bingo? I don't have a 7. I'm just looking at the floaters in Sutured. Well, I can't see anything there. So, what to do? Ooh was one possibility, 17 points. It does keep the duplicate I, and it's slightly vowel heavy. So this isn't a great play. If I play parallel to Sutured, I can't play off my C or my P. Therefore, I can't really do any better than I'm currently doing. And the only other option is to play through. Well, what about playing through the Z? I can play Piezzo. That's a slightly better rack leave, and it's 18 points. I'm just wondering about Epizoic. Epizoic, is that good? Epizoa, Epizoan is good. I think Epizoic's good. Let's find out. $22 points. And this isn't a great rack. Great, my opponent's challenged it. Epizoic is good. He loses 5 points. I'm just 22 points behind. But my rack is a long way from a bingo. And only 14 for my opponent. So how to sort this rack out as soon as possible. Karuna is good, but a rack leave of just V is pretty poor. Now what about column 8? A 5-letter play beginning at A8. Well, I've got Korun. I'd like to play off the V if possible. If I had an E, I could play Knave. So I could play Korun in that spot, keeping A and V. Well, the A certainly helps the V. Let me see what this scores. I am getting rid of the U, which is good. I'm taking a spot which my opponent could score well off. I'm behind, and this is opening the board up, and it's scoring well, 32 points. have variant. Can't see anywhere to play that, but I do have a number of floaters to consider. I've got the anti-prefix. Wow, another good play by my opponent. There goes the second blank, and he's not provided anywhere for variant. So let me think about the floaters on this board. What about the T of clout? Now I note, no, I was thinking about veratrin through the E, but that uses an extra R. What about variation? No, that's a nine-letter word. So I can't see anything through the T. What about the U of clout? No, what about the O? So I've got the Asian, varation, ravation. Nothing works there. And there's the E of sutured. I've got the intra prefix. And the D of sutured. Well, I can't see anything. Now I can sort this rack out pretty easily. I've got Vina at A1. I've got Avian across here, which is going to score more, but with a worse rack leave. It is keeping to help. It is helping to keep the board open, however, which is good. 38 points is a good score. I hope I haven't missed a bingo. Variant's quite a nice set of tiles. I certainly hope I haven't missed a spot to play variant itself, but I don't think I have. And there isn't an IN anywhere for invariant. No, I think this is... Well, I'm just thinking I could play avant in this spot for the same score keeping IR, but I think I'd rather keep TR. There's a floating O in optional, a floating E in sutured, and a floating O and U in clout, so there certainly are available vowels. I draw the Q. I don't have a U, but there are U's in clout and sutured that are available. Now, is there a W for waqf? Well, not available. Is there an I for fakir? No, there is not. So, how can I use one of the available U's to good effect? Well, I've also got cat on my rack. Does that play anywhere great? Well, I've got cat and got in row C. 28 points. It would be nice to play off the F with the Q, but I think I'm going to struggle to do that. I've got 12 minutes left, 45 tiles in the bag. So I can play something like quad. Is there anything better than that? So that would play here. It is taking out 3 floaters, which is a shame, and obstructing others for only 28 points. But I don't think there's a way I can play off the F as well. and I see no advantage in holding on to the queue. I'm just hesitating in case there is a way of playing off the F with the Q, but I don't think there is. And keeping the F, although it's not great, does have the advantage that I can play it next to the second I of epizoic, so coming down through FL, and it would get tripled twice. Well, that's not too bad. I'm 25 points behind. I don't think I have a bingo with this rack. Bereft is a 6-letter play. I could play Fleer in column 10. But it's a shame to play off both my E's. However, there's a lot of E's unplayed. Now the other premium square for my F is next to the R of Coron, which I note takes an A and a Y after it. So if I played FR here, then there would have to be an E here. And then I could play T here, that's 26 points, and I am keeping an E. Now, is there, excuse me, is there somewhere for bereft? Well, there is. And I'd like to play off the B with the F if I can, because neither is particularly bingo-y. Both blanks have gone, so playing off lots of tiles is not increasing my chances of drawing one of those. There are 3 S's unplayed. 30 points, that's a good score, and I'm providing an E floater in column 4. I'm 17 points behind. Now this looks quite nice. Gosh, close to caveated. My O would need to be an A for that. I don't think I have a bingo here, but I should be able to sort my rack out nicely. Just looking around at the available floaters, which are going down slightly. So, I really would like to play off V, O, and E. So I could play Vo and Evo are both good, so I could play Evo at C11. 15 points. 32 tiles left, 8 minutes on the clock. I mustn't hang around. So, is there somewhere better for Evo or Vo? Well, I could play down here, VOE. That takes an E hook in front, but I think that's needlessly open. So this is what I'm thinking of. It doesn't really block any bingo lanes or provide anything great for my opponent. I'm sure there are better plays than that, but it was playing off the tiles I wanted to play off. Now through an S I would have bedstead and bestad. No S's available. Ah, do I have debated? D-E-B-A. I have debated. But there may not be any 7-letter lanes on this board. Well, that's a shame. So, do I have an 8-letter play? What about dead? Well, I'd have deadbeat through an A. Is there an A available? No, there is not. Okay, well, I need to sort this rack out. Play off a B and a D and an E. That shouldn't be too difficult. but I don't want to block bingo lanes. 7 minutes left, that's not very long. So I can play bread here. Quite open. It takes, I think it takes an E at the end, certainly takes an S. Only 14 points. I don't think I need to be that open. This scores more points. This is a good rack leave and there are good bingo lanes on this board. Great, I draw an S, and that's important because clout takes an S, so that gives me access to the only 7-letter lane on this board. Only 18 points for my opponent, so I'm still within touch of him. My problem is time, only 6 minutes left. These are bingo-y tiles, but they're slightly vowel heavy, and I don't think I have a bingo with them. I don't think estacado is good, that doesn't work anyway. So I'm slightly vowel heavy. I'd like to play off an O and an A. They do not make a 2-letter word. So where can I play off O and A? Score's not important. What I'm trying to do is leave the best possible rack leave. So I could play Oda down here. Only 8 points. Or I can... Yeah, I could play or down here, but then I'm obstructing this E, and I'd like to keep this E available. This is going to score slightly more, and Oda obstructs the clout hook slightly. So I prefer this. Right, I have steamed. Gosh, well, steamed doesn't work with the clout hook, which is annoying. I don't have streamed or mastered through the R of ring. The R's in the wrong spot. Do I have anything through the C of etic? Don't think so. Oh, wow, look at that. My opponent has provided a 7-letter lane for steamed. Superb. This is opening up a triple letter square with a vowel next to it, so this could prove to be expensive. But there are other scoring spots on the board. This is a good time to get a bingo with only 16 tiles left, or in the bag and short on time. 75 points. Now, is there a better spot for my bingo? I don't think steamed has an anagram. I've ruled out the C of etic. Yeah, I think this is the best I've got. Great. I don't have a bingo, but I do have no duplicate tiles, a good balance of vowels and consonants, and I have the J, which is a good scoring tile. So I could play jot at N2, but there's an A and an O unplayed. So that gives an easy response. Great! Only 19 points for my opponent. Fantastic. And he's played off the O, so the A is the only tile that can go underneath the J. And that's not particularly dangerous because Abo only takes an S after it. So this is what I was thinking of. I'm slightly mindful of the time. There may be a better J spot, but the rack leave's good here, and I'm keeping a scoring tile in the F. This scores over 30 points. Am I missing an easy spot for scoring a lot more? I'm looking around. I can't see anywhere great for the J, and I do have the A for next go for going underneath the J. And I draw the A, so that row O now is a selfish opening for me. I can use it when I want. And I've got the F and the W for score. There are 3 tiles in the bag. Quad is quite useful for my opponent to play in column 13. He can play an I next to the Q, and he can stick an S on the end of quads. I don't have an S for going after Abo, so I'm restricted at 01 to 2-letter plays. Well, only 16 points, that's good. My opponent is now 19 points behind me. There's 1 tile in the bag. The X is the big tile. Now, I'm looking at putting my F next to the Y of golly, but that doesn't work because I haven't really got anything for going after the S. Oh, well, why don't I use this spot that I identified earlier? I can play floor down here. That's great. With 1 tile left, I might be able to go out next go. 31 points. I have Eater. Does that play anywhere? I have Create in row O and a cart. Great, and Create is not blocked. My opponent is behind. He's about to go more behind and lose. Superb. So, is Create the best I can do? I've got 2 minutes. Loads of time. Can't play in column 5. Re8 I think is good as well. I'm just looking in column 3 for plays parallel to Steamed, but OE doesn't take anything that I've got. I've got Eaters in column 14, but I think Create is my best spot. And there are other anagrams of this which fit in the same spot. I don't need to play those. That's 9 points. Am I missing anywhere better than that? I don't think so. Let me play this. And horrible rack for my opponent. 5 vowels, including 2 Gs. Great, and that's the end of the game. And the final score, 339 to my opponent, 388 to me. A winning margin of 49 points. Great game. Let's see what I missed. It was me to go first. And in hindsight, I think Zoic probably was better than Wiz. They score the same. But I think, although I was worried about the A hook for Zoic, Zoic doesn't have an S hook, and Wiz does, so I don't think I think I gave undue consideration to the A hook, and I think the rack leave of IOW is not as bad as I thought it was. Anyway, probably not a huge amount between those plays. My opponent had Sutured and a couple of other possibilities for bingos, so good start for him. I played Epizoic for 22. I could have got 4 more points for Oppo Rice at L3. That would have been nice. I didn't see that. And Opioid keeping CE is, well, it's quite a nice word, but I don't think it's a good play strategically because it's providing easy access to triple word squares. So I'm pretty happy with Epizoic. That looks good. Did my opponent have a bingo? He did, out lane. Well, he didn't spot that, and I had a rubbish rack. I played Karun for 32. I also had Nor for 32, and although A is better than O, there is some OV synergy because of the over prefix, but Karun looks fine. And my opponent here did have a bingo. He played none of those. He played optional, but he had a whole bunch of bingos, including Ponytail. Now, this was my variant. Did I miss something? No, I didn't. Avant and Avian looked like they were the best plays, and I prefer Avian. Another nice rack for my opponent. He didn't have a bingo. He played ring. Now I had the Q. And quart is being suggested, keeping D and F. I played quad for the same score. Well, quad is better because quart ends up one square short of row O and it takes an E, so that's not great. Yeah, I think quad is best there. Now, my opponent has Reachier in column 1. Yes, he does. And fortunately for me, he didn't spot it and he played he for 22. So at this point, I'm 47 points behind. So I'm not in great shape, but I'm still within a bingo's reach of my opponent, and the board is open, so I'm in a reasonably good position if I can sort my rack out. And bingo. I played Bereft for 30, that looks best. Befret, well, its anagram was playable for less, so Bereft's certainly better. This is where my opponent played Etic. Did he have anything? Any bingos? No, he didn't. Now, did I miss a bingo with this rack? I did not, and I played... I played Evo because my priority was to sort the rack out. If we go back, so I scored 15 for Evo. I could have got double that with Evader and close to that with Evated, but both of those plays wreck the rack cleave, and the rack cleave after Evo of date, D-A-T-E, is pretty good. It's one of the nicer 4-letter rack cleaves, and playing off fewer tiles slows down the end of the game, which is what you want to do when you're behind. So I still like my Evo play. Horrible rack for my opponent. And this is where I had debated and couldn't see anywhere for it to go and couldn't spot an 8. Let's see if there was one. There wasn't. Okay. What did I do? I played bed for 22 and I think that's fine. Grotesque rack for my opponent. He played golly, which is quite a good spot, 18 points. And this was my rack. And, well, I played something. I played Aura for 11. And what that did was leave me with dates, which is a really nice rack leave. And although I could have got 18 for a do, well, that may have been justified. 7 more points ditching the D. The D and the S don't have great synergy, so I think a do probably a slightly better play, but Aura was fine. And this is where my opponent, fortunately for me, gave me a spot for Steamed. Did I have anything else? No, that was the only bingo. So a bit unlucky by my opponent. This was his rack. He played Ion. And I was mindful of the time here and didn't spend that long looking for a great F play. And it looks like all of these F plays were amongst the better moves. The alternative at K1. Ah, look at that. Forte down here taking advantage of the O hook for Dar, which I didn't consider. That would have been quite a nice play. But actually, the jar play, I think, is better because the F is a really good tile to keep because of this square here. The if and FL start mean that that's a 30-point tile to keep hold of. So I don't think Forte is significantly better than the J words. Now my opponent's rack was dismal. He played cheese. And, well, that's interesting. Fitter is coming down this column through IT, parallel to quad. That would have got 34 points. I played floor for only 3 fewer points. And I think floor is better because with 1 tile in the bag, I think there's a much better chance of being able to go out in 1 with a rack leave of AERT than with a rack leave of AAW. So floor is fine. Horrendous rack for my opponent. And now this was my rack. This was my rack. Could I have scored more than 9? I couldn't. That was the best. Okay, well, that's fortuitous because I didn't spend very long trying to find a better play. And that was the end of the game. It was an exciting game because I went behind early on, and whenever you go behind in a game, there is a sense of urgency that's present throughout the game until you establish a lead. And in this case, that didn't happen until very late with Steamed, and even then my lead was slender. So it was quite gripping in a way that when you get a couple of early bingos and you have a 100-point lead, that's far less gripping, although obviously preferable. So I hope you enjoyed watching that game and got something out of it. My name is David Webb, and this has been a video for Dweebovision.